Welcome to This Explainer. Imagine walking into an absolutely pristine luxury hotel. The lobby is totally serene, the service is flawless, and everything just feels effortless. But behind those closed doors, in the bustling kitchens, busy front desks, and revenue offices, hospitality is an incredibly high-pressure environment. Today, we're focusing on the operational realities of managing those exact environments. We're going to explore the critical relationship between strategic human resource management and conflict management. Let's dive right in.
I'm joining you today as your AI performance guide. Together, we're going to unpack the modern hospitality operations that will really support your professional growth in the industry. I am so pleased to welcome all the students of Europe Hotel School to your online learning journey. This explainer is designed to give you practical, hands-on knowledge that aligns directly with real hotel operations, setting you up for absolute success as future leaders.
So, here's our agenda for today. We'll be looking at 5 key areas. First up, conflict in hospitality. Second, the root causes. Third, proactive management strategies. Fourth, formal grievance procedures. And finally, progressive disciplinary processes.
Let's start with Section 1, conflict in hospitality. Navigating high-pressure environments.
Okay, the very first thing we need to acknowledge here is that in any people-centered organization, conflict, well, it isn't just a possibility, it's practically inevitable. When you've got teams working around the clock to deliver absolutely impeccable service, tensions are naturally going to flare up. And honestly, that's not a sign of failure. It's just a reality of the business that has to be managed. That's where strategic HRM comes in. It's essentially the constructive management of workplace conflict to maintain fairness, team morale, and impeccable service quality. Strategic HRM is literally your primary tool as a manager. It's what allows you to take those inevitable high-pressure tensions and transform them into constructive resolutions, making sure that the guest experience remains completely undisturbed.
Moving on to Section 2, the root causes, identifying the sparks.
Before we can even think about managing conflict, we have to know exactly what triggers it behind the scenes of a busy hotel operation. Tensions usually stem from 3 main sparks. First, interpersonal differences. Just picture 2 completely different personalities clashing over plating styles in a sweltering, fast-paced kitchen during a Friday dinner rush. Second, workload pressures. The demanding nature of hospitality acts like a magnifying glass for stress points, especially during peak seasons or when a front desk agent is staring down a line out the door for a massive corporate event. And third, perceived unfairness. If your staff feels like shift schedules, side work tasks, or how management treats them is unbalanced, well, conflict is pretty much just around the corner.
All right, Section 3, proactive management strategies, stopping escalation early. Now, Europe Hotel School London specifically highlights conflict management not just as some standard HR function, but as a core, absolutely crucial leadership competency. As a leader, your ability to handle these situations proactively on the floor is what defines your leadership. Step 1 is early identification of tensions. You've got to be observant and catch those minor sparks in the kitchen or the lobby before they blow up into operational fires. Step 2 is open communication. You need to foster a vibe where staff feel genuinely safe talking about their workload pressures or interpersonal issues. And Step 3, prompt and respectful intervention. Managers play a massive role in stepping in quickly, treating everyone with dignity, and stopping the situation from escalating any further.
Section 4, formal grievance procedures, formalizing the process.
So what happens when those proactive steps just aren't cutting it? Because sometimes informal interventions on the floor simply cannot resolve a really complex team dispute. When that happens, grievance procedures step in to provide formal mechanisms, ensuring employees can raise concerns transparently and objectively. And I really want to emphasize this point. Grievance procedures are not just administrative paperwork. No way. They are essential tools. When a transparent process guarantees that issues are heard and resolved objectively, it actively reinforces trust across the entire organization. Handling grievances fairly essentially proves to your team that their concerns actually matter.
Which brings us to Section 5, progressive disciplinary processes, upholding standards.
Okay, this is the final step in the escalation timeline. Look, sometimes managers just have to address clear misconduct or significant performance drops. And when doing so, it's vital that we are strictly upholding standards. And that means upholding both the dignity of the employee and all relevant legal standards. To do this effectively, we really need to completely reframe how we view discipline. It is not about the punishment you see on the left, it's about the correction and learning you see on the right. Progressive discipline is fundamentally about supporting employee improvement. It's basically a structured way to say, hey, your performance isn't meeting our standards right now, but here is exactly how we're going to help you correct it and learn from it. It is absolutely not about just handing out punitive measures. And listen, consistency and documentation are the absolute pillars of your role. Every single managerial action, whether it's a quick verbal warning or a formal write-up, has to be consistently applied across all team members and thoroughly documented. Honestly, this is the only way to make sure your hotel environment stays legally sound and genuinely fair.
To kind of wrap up our whole journey today, this timeline lays out the modern manager's toolkit from start to finish. It all kicks off with Phase 1, proactive management, where you identify tensions early and communicate openly. If that doesn't quite do the trick, we slide into Phase 2, formal grievance, using those transparent mechanisms to resolve issues objectively. And then, only when necessary to address real misconduct or performance, we rely on Phase 3, progressive discipline, always prioritizing correction and learning. This flow is exactly how you effectively navigate from that first hint of tension all the way through formal institutional processes. As we conclude this explainer, I really want to leave you with this thought to chew on. How will your commitment to consistency and documentation shape the fairness of your future luxury hotel? You know, the habits you're building right now as students at your hotel school are going to directly impact the real people you lead tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me on this learning journey, and definitely keep striving for excellence in all your operational management.